Love Talk Emotion: Guide to Expressing and Understanding Feelings in Relationships audiobook script. Approximately 1 hour opening, midnight to 2 o'clock. Soft, contemplative tone. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about the last time you tried to tell someone you love how you really felt. Maybe it was excitement, maybe fear, maybe hurt. Now think about what happened next. Did they understand you? Did you feel heard? Or did your words somehow get lost in translation, leaving both of you frustrated and disconnected? This is the space where most relationships struggle. Not in the absence of love, but in the absence of emotional fluency. The ability to speak the language of feelings, to decode what's really being said beneath the words, and to create genuine connection through honest emotional expression. I'm here to guide you through this journey of discovering how to truly talk about love and emotion. Over the next hour, we'll explore why emotional communication is so difficult, what gets in the way, and most importantly, how to transform the way you connect with the people you care about most. Whether you're in a romantic relationship, navigating family dynamics, building friendships, or simply trying to understand yourself better, this audiobook will give you the tools to speak from the heart and be truly understood. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Emotional Language Gap, 2 to 10 o'clock. Warm, educational tone. Chapter 1. The Emotional Language Gap. Here's a truth that might surprise you. Most of us were never taught how to talk about emotions. We learned math, science, history, but emotional literacy? That was something we were supposed to just figure out. Think about your childhood for a moment. When you felt sad, what did the adults around you say? If you're like most people, you heard things like, "Don't cry, be strong, it's not that bad," or "You're fine." These weren't said with malice. They came from love. But they carried a powerful message. Your emotions are something to control, minimize, or hide. Now imagine if we'd learned about emotions the way we learned about colors. This feeling is sadness. It shows up when we lose something important. It's temporary and it's okay to feel it. Instead, many of us grew up thinking emotions were problems to be solved rather than information to be understood. This creates what I call the emotional language gap, the distance between what we feel and what we can express. And this gap is where relationships suffer. The 3 dimensions of emotional communication. When we talk about emotions in relationships, we're actually navigating 3 different dimensions. First, there's internal awareness, knowing what you're actually feeling. This sounds simple, but many people can't distinguish between anger and hurt, between fear and sadness, between love and dependency. Second, there's expression, finding the words and ways to communicate those feelings. Even when you know what you feel, translating it into language that another person can receive is its own skill. Third, there's reception, the ability to hear and understand someone else's emotional communication without defensiveness, judgment, or the need to fix it immediately. Most relationship problems aren't about the absence of feeling. They're about breakdowns in one or more of these 3 dimensions. The cost of emotional silence. When we can't talk about emotions effectively, we pay a price. Resentment builds in the silence. Assumptions fill the gaps. Distance grows where intimacy should be. I've seen couples who love each other deeply but can't seem to connect. Not because the love isn't there, but because they're speaking different emotional languages. One person expresses love through actions, cooking meals, fixing things, running errands. The other needs to hear the words, "I love you," and feel emotional presence. Neither is wrong, but without understanding each other's emotional language, both feel unloved. The same pattern shows up everywhere. Parents and children missing each other's emotional cues, friends drifting apart because neither knows how to say, "I miss you," colleagues unable to collaborate because they can't express frustration constructively. Why this matters now? We live in a world that's more connected than ever through technology, Yet people report feeling lonelier than at any point in history. We can video chat across continents, but we struggle to express vulnerability to someone sitting right next to us. The skill of emotional communication isn't just nice to have, it's essential for human connection, mental health, and relationship satisfaction. Research consistently shows that couples who can effectively communicate about emotions have stronger, more resilient relationships. They navigate conflict better, maintain intimacy longer, and report higher levels of satisfaction. The good news? Emotional fluency is a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and improved at any age. You don't need to have grown up in an emotionally expressive family. You don't need to be naturally intuitive. You just need the willingness to learn a new language, the language of the heart. In the chapters ahead, we'll build this fluency together, one concept at a time. We'll start with understanding your own emotional landscape, then move to expressing what you feel, and finally to creating the kind of emotional dialogue that transforms relationships. Let's begin with the foundation, understanding what emotions actually are and why they matter so much in love. Chapter 2, The Anatomy of Emotions, 10 to 20 hours. Thoughtful, exploratory tone. Chapter 2, The Anatomy of Emotions. Before we can talk about emotions, we need to understand them. And here's the fascinating part. Emotions aren't random. They're sophisticated information systems that have evolved over millions of years to help us survive and thrive. What emotions actually are. Think of emotions as your internal GPS system. They're constantly scanning your environment and your internal state, then sending you signals. Pay attention to this, move away from that, connect with this person, protect yourself here. Every emotion you experience is actually three things happening at once. First, there's a physiological response, your body reacting. Your heart rate changes, your breathing shifts, hormones release, muscles tense or relax. This happens automatically, before you're even consciously aware of feeling anything. Second, there's a cognitive interpretation, your mind making meaning of the sensation. Your brain asks, what's happening here? Is this danger? Excitement? Loss? The story you tell yourself about the sensation shapes your emotional experience. Third, there's a behavioral impulse, the urge to do something. Run, fight, reach out, withdraw, celebrate. Every emotion carries within it a natural action tendency. Understanding this three-part structure is crucial because it shows us where we have choice. We can't always control the initial physiological response. Emotions arise automatically. But we can learn to work with the interpretation and the behavioral response. This is emotional intelligence in action, the core emotional family. While humans can experience hundreds of nuanced emotional states, most of them are variations on a core set of primary emotions. Think of these as the primary colors of your emotional palette. Joy tells you that something good is happening or has happened. It creates the urge to savor, to share, to expand the moment. Joy says, this is working, do more of it. Sadness signals loss of a person, an opportunity, a dream, even a version of yourself. It slows you down, turns you inward, and creates the need for comfort and connection. Sadness says, something mattered to you, and it's gone or changed. Anger is your boundary protection system. It arises when something important to you is being threatened, violated, or dismissed. Anger provides energy to defend, to set limits, to push back. It says, this is not okay, and something needs to change. Fear is your early warning system. It scans for danger, physical, emotional, or social, and prepares you to respond. Fear says, be careful, there's a threat here. Disgust helps you avoid things that might harm you, whether that's spoiled food or toxic relationships. It creates physical and psychological distance. Disgust says, this is bad for you, stay away. Surprise is the reset button. It interrupts whatever you were doing and says, pay attention, something unexpected is happening. From these primary emotions, we get hundreds of variations. Anxiety is anticipatory fear. Jealousy is fear mixed with anger. Contentment is sustained, gentle joy. Grief is sadness combined with love. Shame is disgust directed at yourself. The hidden logic of emotions. Here's something most people don't realize. There are no bad emotions. Every single one serves a purpose, carries information, and when honored appropriately, helps you navigate life effectively. We've been taught to categorize emotions as positive or negative, comfortable or uncomfortable. But this misses the point entirely. Emotions aren't good or bad. They're informative or uninformative, useful or not useful in a given context. Anger isn't bad, it's essential for protecting your boundaries. The question is whether you're expressing it in a way that serves your relationships or damages them. Sadness isn't negative, it's how we process loss and eventually make peace with change. The question is whether you're allowing yourself to feel it fully or trying to suppress it. Even emotions that feel uncomfortable are often trying to help you. Anxiety about a presentation? That's your system trying to help you prepare. Guilt after snapping at someone? That's your conscience guiding you back to your values. When we try to eliminate or suppress emotions we don't like, we don't become stronger, we become less aware. We lose access to crucial information about our needs, boundaries, and values. Emotions in relationship context. In intimate relationships, emotions become even more complex because they're not just about you, they're about the space between you and another person. They're signals about the health of the connection. When your partner comes home and you feel a rush of happiness, that's information. This person matters to me. I've been waiting for this connection. When you feel irritation over something small, that might be information about something larger. I'm feeling disconnected, or my needs haven't been heard lately, or I'm stressed about something else entirely. The skill is learning to decode these signals, in yourself and in your partner, and then communicate about them effectively. Not reactively expressing every feeling the moment you have it, but also not bottling everything up until you explode. The wisdom of secondary emotions. Often, the emotion you initially feel isn't the deepest one. Anger might be covering hurt. Withdrawal might be masking fear of rejection. Jealousy might be revealing insecurity. I call these layers primary and secondary emotions. The secondary emotion is the one you feel first. It's often the most socially acceptable or the easiest to access. The primary emotion is underneath. It's more vulnerable, more core to who you are. For example, your partner forgets your birthday. You feel angry, secondary. But underneath that anger is hurt and the fear that you don't matter, primary. If you only express the anger, you miss the opportunity for real connection. When you can access and share the primary emotion, I felt really hurt and unimportant when you forgot. You open the door to genuine intimacy. Learning to identify and express your primary emotions is one of the most powerful skills in emotional communication. It moves you from surface-level conflict to deep understanding. As we move forward, keep this anatomy in mind. Every emotion you feel is trying to tell you something. The question isn't whether to have emotions. You're human, so you will. The question is, can you understand what they're telling you? And can you communicate that understanding to the people you love? Ask yourself, what emotion feels hardest for me to feel and express? That's likely your shadow emotion, and it deserves your gentle attention. The self-compassion component. As you develop emotional awareness, you'll inevitably discover feelings you'd rather not have. You'll notice patterns you wish were different. You might feel shame about how you feel or judge yourself for your emotional responses. This is where self-compassion becomes essential. You cannot develop emotional awareness while simultaneously berating yourself for what you find. Every emotion you have is there for a reason, even the uncomfortable ones, even the ones that seem irrational. They're all part of your human experience, shaped by your biology, your history, your current circumstances. Instead of, I shouldn't feel this way, try, I'm feeling this way, and that's okay. What is this feeling trying to tell me? Instead of, I'm so stupid for being jealous, try, I'm experiencing jealousy. That's information about my insecurities or needs. What do I need here? Self-compassion doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior. It means meeting your emotions with curiosity and kindness so you can work with them skillfully rather than being controlled by them. Emotional self-awareness is a lifelong practice. You're not trying to achieve perfect clarity at all times. You're simply building a better relationship with your inner experience, one that allows you to understand yourself more deeply and communicate more authentically with others. In the next chapter, we'll take this awareness and learn how to express it, how to transform inner experience into communication that creates connection rather than conflict. ## Chapter 4. The Art of Emotional Expression, 30:0-42:00. Encouraging practical tone. Chapter 4. The Art of Emotional Expression. You know what you're feeling. Now the question is, how do you share it in a way that draws people closer rather than pushing them away? This is the art of emotional expression, translating inner experience into communication that creates understanding and connection. The expression spectrum. Emotional expression exists on a spectrum. On one end is complete suppression, feeling things but never expressing them. On the other end is raw, unfiltered reactivity, expressing every feeling exactly as you feel it in the moment. Neither extreme serves relationships well. Chronic suppression leads to disconnection. Your partner can't understand you if you never share what's happening inside. Distance grows in the silence. Resentment accumulates. Eventually, The relationship feels hollow because neither person truly knows the other. Raw reactivity creates chaos. When you express every emotion without any processing or choice, you're essentially making your partner responsible for managing your emotional state. Every passing frustration becomes their problem. Every anxiety becomes their emergency. The sweet spot is what I call conscious expression. Feeling your emotions fully, processing them enough to understand them, and then expressing them in a way that invites connection rather than creating defense. The 3 elements of effective emotional expression. When you express emotions skillfully, you're balancing 3 elements: honesty, responsibility, and invitation. Honesty means telling your emotional truth. Not exaggerating for effect, not minimizing to keep the peace, but naming what's actually present for you. This requires the self-awareness we discussed in the last chapter. Responsibility means owning your emotions as yours. Not blaming others for how you feel, not making your feelings someone else's fault, but acknowledging that your emotional experience belongs to you. Invitation means expressing yourself in a way that invites the other person in rather than pushing them away. This is about tone, word choice, and timing, creating an opening for dialogue rather than delivering a monologue or an attack. Let's look at how this plays out in practice. The I feel statement. The most basic tool of emotional expression is the I feel statement. It sounds simple, but most people get it wrong at first. The formula is, I feel emotion when situation does reason. Let's try it. I feel hurt when you check your phone while I'm talking because it makes me think what I'm saying doesn't matter to you. Notice what this does. It names the emotion, hurt, identifies the trigger, phone checking during conversation, and explains the meaning you're making, assumption about importance. It's honest, it's owned, and it's informative. Compare that to, you never listen to me. You're always on your phone. You obviously don't care about anything I say. Same underlying feeling, completely different impact. The second version blames, accuses, and speaks in absolutes. It guarantees defensiveness. The first version shares your experience and creates space for understanding. The vulnerability strength paradox. Here's something that surprises many people. Expressing vulnerability is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. When you say, I'm scared, or I feel insecure, or I'm hurt, you're not being weak, you're being courageous. You're risking rejection to create genuine connection. You're choosing authenticity over self-protection. And here's what research shows. Vulnerability, when received with empathy, creates intimacy. It's the pathway to being truly known and loved. When you hide your vulnerable feelings, you might protect yourself from rejection, but you also prevent genuine closeness. Many people, especially those who learn that emotions are dangerous, have built thick walls around their vulnerable feelings. They'll express anger easily, it feels stronger, safer. But the hurt, fear, or loneliness underneath, that stays hidden. If you want deeper connection, practice sharing the softer emotions. Not instead of anger, but in addition to it. I'm angry, and underneath that, I'm scared we're drifting apart. That's where intimacy lives. Timing and context. The most beautifully expressed emotion can land wrong if the timing is off. Trying to have an emotional conversation when your partner just walked in from a terrible day at work? Probably not optimal. Bringing up a hurt from last week in the middle of your partner's birthday celebration? Not ideal timing. Starting a vulnerable conversation about your relationship anxiety as your partner is trying to fall asleep? They're probably not in a state to receive it well. This doesn't mean you should never express difficult emotions. It means you should be strategic about when and how. One helpful approach: ask permission before diving into an emotional conversation. Hey, I'm feeling some stuff I'd like to talk about. Is now a good time, or should we plan a time tonight or tomorrow? This gives the other person a chance to be present and receptive rather than catching them off guard when they're depleted or distracted. The tone and delivery. How you say something matters as much as what you say. The same words delivered with different tones create completely different impacts. I'm feeling disconnected from you lately, said with curiosity and softness, invites conversation. I'm feeling disconnected from you lately, said with accusation and coldness, creates defense. Pay attention to Your tone of voice. Are you speaking with aggression? Flatness? Warmth? Curiosity? Your tone communicates as much as your words. Your body language. Are you turned away or leaning in? Are your arms crossed defensively or open? Are you making eye contact or avoiding it? Your pacing. Are you speaking rapid fire, not leaving space for response? Or are you pausing, allowing the conversation to breathe? The goal isn't to manipulate through delivery, it's to ensure your delivery matches your intention. If your intention is connection and understanding, your tone and body should reflect that. The power of specific examples. Vague emotional expressions leave your partner guessing. Specific examples give them something concrete to understand and respond to. Instead of, I feel like you don't appreciate me. Try, I feel unappreciated. This week I cleaned the house, handled all the grocery shopping, and organized our finances, and I didn't hear a thank you. I'm feeling taken for granted. The specificity helps your partner understand exactly what triggered the feeling and what would help shift it. The request, not demand. Effective emotional expression often includes a request, what you need to feel better or what would help the situation. But there's a crucial difference between a request and a demand. A request, would you be willing to put yours? Like and subscribe for more.